Hold up. Wait a minute.
Bruh.
Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, hit chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat, big chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring cults. Exploring. Researching. Debunking. Investigating. Being nosy. Super nosy. Being messy. Being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me. The chick with ADHD. Unmedicated. But quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Hold up. I'm muted. Why did Yo, that just killed my vibe. Let me do it all over again. Hi everybody. Welcome to the chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Good morning. I'm making rookie mistakes when I'm like 5 years in. What is going on? You know, I need that I'm in training badge. Welcome everybody. Yeah, I love that everybody's like rabbit audio, rabbit audio, rabbit audio. I got it, girl. I got it. All right. That's why I did it all over again. Welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Good morning. Good morning. It is March 8th. Happy New Year's. I told you I was going to keep saying Happy New Year's. Maybe I'll stop by April. We'll stop April. Welcome. Shout out to everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everybody's well rested. Y'all, I am tired. Let me tell you what happened, y'all. I was like, I don't know whether it was something that I ate or something else, and it's weird because it's like, I thought I had like food poisoning. I don't know. I got some strawberries from the grocery store, you know, and I was like, well, maybe it was the strawberries, you know, maybe there's like salmonella, E. coli, you know, whatever the hell these stuff, what is it, foodborne illnesses or whatever. And I'm just like, something just felt off to me Friday. And it's so crazy because like, I had chills, but I didn't have a fever. And I like my stomach was feeling a little bit wonky too. So I said, it's got to be something I ate. I think it's the strawberries. But what was weird is that late at night, I felt like, you know how when you have the flu or a cold, you feel like this just achiness in your body and it hurts. And then you feel like cold, but then you feel hot, kind of like that. I said, I don't know. Maybe this is like menopause or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Oh, the female problems that we have, right? No, it wasn't that. So I think I just like literally ate something and it's weird because then I woke up the following morning and I felt like somebody somebody grabbed a bus and just ran over me and hit me a couple times. My body was sore, kind of like when your body aches, but it hurt so bad. When I woke up, I said, this is too crazy. You have the same thing right now? I think it was like the stomach flu. Literally, I think it was something. I was like, give me an edible. No, Coochie, no. That market is closed. All right. It's a no. Three is enough. 3 is fine. And no more. All right. Baby Bunny, you know, she turned 4 and the oldest turns 18 this month. And I'm already like, I cannot. This is too much. Yeah, so, I'm thinking, man, I'm thinking these children are gonna take me right there, but it was really weird how I felt. I said, "Wait a minute." All my life, we women, we go through some stuff, man, in our bodies and our changes, and you gotta fix this, you gotta take care of this, and I'm just like, "Girl, like, isn't it enough that we have to, childbirth and the trauma from that and the body and the changes? Then we gotta deal with after we're done with having children? This is too much." Anyways, yeah, I know, Greek lady. It was like, "It's too you're no, 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 you're fine." I know, I people were telling me, "You're too young for menopause." I said, "But it was so weird." I literally felt like somebody just beat me up with a bat or something. Something, something, but yeah. Well, truth teller, thank you so much. I still get carded. Even when my oldest is around, I still get carded. I said, "Girl, your mama's doing pretty well." This is why I don't drive a minivan. Shout out to the people that drive minivans. But that was one thing I said to myself, "Look, I'll embrace I'll embrace the gray hair. I want the gray hair. All right. I want the wisdom. But don't put me in a minivan because I cannot." I got some minivan trauma. Don't put me in a minivan. I just, everybody wanted to stick me in like a minivan. And no, 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 no. No, we're done. Anyways, shout out to everybody in the chat and shout out to y'all if you drive a minivan. It just isn't for me. Something about a minivan that just makes me feel like, I don't know. I can't get there. I will never own a minivan. See, y'all are laughing at me in the chat. Well, shout out to everybody. All right, guys, we have so much to get into, and I'm over here babbling. Okay, so we need to get it going. Shout out to Wim, who gifted us 555 memberships. Thank you, Wimmy. Appreciate it. Shout out to my boo Wim. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. You said trade in that minivan for a Jeep. Ooh, I'm telling you something about a Jeep. I drive a minivan, Vic's like, shout out to you. Oh my god, y'all are so funny. All right, well, shout out to y'all if you drive a it just isn't for me. I don't know. I have like this thing about it. Anyways, that'll be a different conversation. Maybe a members only live that we'll talk about minivans and Rabbit's fear of minivans and just don't like minivans and the milestone that means for me. Okay, so shout out to everybody. Let's get it together, guys, because we definitely have a lot to talk about. Why don't we start with Sheriff Harvey? Sheriff Harvey from the Department of TMZ, the Federal Bureau of TMZ, in the letters. Okay, so I kind of want to remind everybody how the news broke about Britney Spears and stuff like that. Now, I kind of want to go back even a little bit further, right? Or back. Let's go back a little bit because I think some people took away from my commentary as far as Britney Spears goes and her being detained. Ultimately, what I was saying is that when we're talking about her trauma, I said, she's got a lot of trauma. I don't excuse if she was intoxicated and driving, I will never excuse that, right? Whether it's Britney Spears or Joe Schmo or JT Justin or whoever it is, right? People, Britney and all these people, whoever it is, they need to be held accountable if that's what happened, right? Which she was detained. I'm not excusing that. Nobody should be driving drunk. You put everybody's lives at risk. What I don't necessarily like, period, is that, first of all, it's always TMZ that breaks the news when it comes to Britney. And then they break the news and they give out a bunch of misinformation. And then, just like they've done before with her, and then they're like, well, let's just correct this. Britney Spears did not lead cops on a wild chase despite reports. They're the ones that put that report out. Okay. So the only reason why we even knew about this is because they're the ones that put that report out. And the thing is do we get things wrong? Absolutely. We all do. But something like a TMZ, like, come on now. The only reason why, in my opinion, this was put out is simply because, well, we want to know what this train wreck is like. Everybody's waiting for Britney to F up one way. I mean, literally one thing, and then everybody's like surrounding her like vultures. And that's why I even struggle even in reporting, because it's like you can't even you don't even know. All right. So TMZ put it out, and they could be correct in their reporting that she was arrested, which it sounds like might have been the case. She was put in a hospital, or, detained, hospitalized. They said they found substance, and then they said they didn't. Then they said it was her Adderall, but I think her Adderall is prescribed. I'm not really sure. People tend to forget that Adderall medication is a prescription as well, and you don't need to like lie about that. Like, I bet you a good percentage of my audience here are diagnosed with ADHD and take Adderall. Shout out to y'all. Doesn't mean you're a drug addict at all. So it actually, Adderall doesn't really, for somebody that has ADHD, it works a little bit different than, for those that don't. So that, yeah, oppressor for a DUI was wild. Yeah. And I also didn't appreciate the manager as well, what they said. Maybe they're close by and they put that out there that she needs intervention. This girl will never be allowed any kind of privacy of any sorts, right? And it's even more wilder because why? She's out there on Instagram and, she's doing her thing. And I mean, she's allowed to do that. So there's that. Yeah, that's right, Ronan. I took Adderall many years, and y'all don't that Adderall would put me to sleep. My mind, I'm like full ADHD. My mind never sleeps, right? So it would put me to sleep. And some people would be like, it's supposed to be like coffee or something. No. When you're truly an ADHD person, it puts you to sleep. That's what it does. Okay, hold up. Now let me go back a little bit. I think TMZ has just gotten a little too big for themselves and they need to chill out. Well, let me just say this. I mean, Sheriff Harvey, and if you guys know, you know why we call him Sheriff Harvey. Sheriff Harvey, if you've been watching the Nancy Guthrie case, they have been getting all these ransom notes and they've been reporting the ransom notes and they've been saying, yeah, this is what's going on. This is what we're doing. And, they need to turn themselves in. If they have information, every day it was like a ransom note. Now they kind of scaled it back, which I don't know if that's because they were being trolled and whatnot. There's that. Yes, drinking with Adderall is a bad thing. Okay, you don't want to drink and Adderall. No, those two don't mix. Okay, and I say it because by experience, what I didn't even realize I had many years ago. I took, I had my medication. I took it, and I thought because the medication only lasts so long in your system. Well, it was still in the system, and it literally made me like completely drunk. It makes your drunk levelness in a whole different level, y'all. Like, yeah. So I definitely would not mix that. And if that's what was happening, then she was stopped, just like any other person who should be stopped if you're drinking and driving, if that's what happened. And again, the only thing that I don't like is she was on a high speed chase, but then no, not really. Let's take that back. And then they're right there, right in front of that story, if that makes sense. Just saying. You said it's the same people that helped get her in that situation in the first place, treating humans like animals and objects. Yeah. And you have people that now suddenly sit on the side of like, well, I was rooting for her to get out of this conservatorship, but now I don't think that she should be out. Then I have to kind of wonder, well, who the hell are you to say that? Who the hell are you to say that? If you do a deep dive in conservatorship, guardianship, and all these judges, the way that they function, who gets paid and what, and I really do recommend you doing that. A lot of this stuff, a lot of people behind the curtain in these situations aren't the best people to make those decisions and have really effed up people's lives. Case in point, Wendy Williams and the judge that put her there. And now that's a whole different situation. That judge and the lawyer, all these people working, they have a whole little triage of guardianships in New York over there in that office. And they're like putting people in there, some people that don't even have the money to advocate them to get out of them. There was a man, okay, who did not speak English. They put him in he got this settlement, okay, well over, I think, $10 million settlement. Sabrina, which is the same lawyer that Wendy Williams has, okay, Sabrina is the lawyer. She had this man in a 10-year conservatorship. This man, he had a TBI. Well, guess what? He recovered. He's self-sufficient. He's a manager. He's a supervisor, and they won't let him out of this conservatorship. Why? Because all these these mother effer judges and lawyers are getting paid off of this man. So finally, he decides to get, after 10 years that they've been taking his money, he decides to get a lawyer. And then they basically go to the media and they expose this. And then we come to find out that there's a lot of people that find themselves in these kinds of conservatorship that don't have the fame that a Britney Spears or a Wendy Williams have. But they happen to have money because they've been hurt somewhere or they have an inheritance and it's well in the millions. And these lawyers are the sharks in the water and they smell it. I'm gonna make sure that you don't get out of there. 10 years. 10 years. And he's able to supervise people. Something wrong with the system, guys. There's not enough, there's no checks and balances in that system. So that's why, I don't know, I side eye it, but that's just my opinion. So, anyways, Sheriff Harvey is an interesting character, and he's trying to fix the situation, and still, you're gonna have people that have their opinions, and that's absolutely fine. They're entitled to them. Okay. Shout out to everybody in the chat. All right, so I am like still, I'm behind. I took yesterday off because I told you guys I was not feeling very well. Um, hold up, James. Thank you so much for the super sticker. At the ABBA festival, a fan went to the toilet, got stuck inside. When asked if she was okay, she replied, Portaloo couldn't escape if I wanted to. um, Shout out to my resident comedian, James. Thank you, James. James, did you miss that commentary about the white girl wasted? White girl wasted. And then we found somebody wasted in that stream. I think you were there for that. Weren't you, James? Anyway, shout out to Cheeks because I'm still thinking about the white girl wasted. Anyways, moving on. Shout out to James. Estrella Mom Erin. Thank you for gifting. Y'all put some hearts in the chat if you've been blessed. Come on, hearts. Work. Okay, I don't think it's gonna work. Anyways, thank you. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Appreciate it. You were? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Estrella Mom. Yeah. Oh, was it White Girl Wasted or White Girl Breakfast? That's right. White Girl Breakfast, which was the Starbucks, the vodka, the Kahlua drink all in one. That's, y'all, that took me out. All right. So let's talk about these Nancy Guthrie. And we're going to go very briefly on this because Brian Ensign gave some very interesting commentary about the people that were falsely accused. Now, y'all know I will admit I am a fan stan of Brian Ensign. Okay. I am. I like his reporting. I think he's always kind of right on the money. I love it when people kind of, when Brian Ensign will put something out, because we've seen it time and time, and people will try to discredit him. And people, I don't know, like it's just I like the clap back that he gives sometimes. I'm here for it. Is he the new daddy? Let me not say that out loud because I might get in trouble. In the sense that, I don't know. I don't know if he sees himself as the zaddy or the dad. Where's Tinkle Tits? Shout out to Tinkle Tits. You do love the Silver Foxes? I do too. I mean, I think, like I said, maybe it's like I like older men. There you go. But who knows? Anyways, so let's talk about this internet jammer. So if you guys remember, or the signal jammers, if you guys remember, there was a neighbor who apparently had an internet outage situation when the Nancy Guthrie situation was going down. And we had given some extensive commentary about this. It's like, well, is it just one area in the block? Because if you have, and this is totally like, I'm new to this. If you're able to block the internet, I guess, for one, you can't just do it for one house. It would be for like the block or several properties. So much so that it would take down like your cameras if you have like internet home systems, or any kind of security systems that work on the internet, which is kind of scary if you think about it, right? Because everything functions on internet now. We've made life so crazy for us that if the Y2K were to happen again, I think we would probably have a real fear of the internet going completely out. Y'all remember the Y2K? Okay. You guys were preparing for your Y2K. You guys were buying, just like COVID. Everybody was buying toilet paper. It was the end of the world. People were going crazy. I remember why I survived the Y2K. The computers, the Hewlett Packards were shutting down and all of this. So I'm just like wondering, well, now, back then, when Y2K was like a huge deal, if Y2K were to happen in 2026, I really do believe that we would be kind of SOL, right? Because a lot of us couldn't live without internet. A lot of us use internet to function. It would be a real meltdown. Okay. Anyways, I know back then people didn't really care. Thank you, Storm, for saying that. Y'all said Y2K was hilarious. I don't know, man. You had people, it was the end of times. It was the Nostradamus and all this. Anyways, so let's get into the signal stuff. And y'all let me know what you guys think in the comments.
News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Endon, who's in Tucson for us tonight and also has been on the story since day one. We also have with us Paul Powers. He's the founder and CEO of Fizna, an AI-driven 3D search and analytics company. 2019, he was one of Forbes magazine's 30 under 30. Show off, but great to have you here nonetheless. All right, Brian, I want to start with you. Okay. It seems investigators are taking this theory pretty seriously, but can you provide more clarity on it? Like how widespread it was, how long this was?
Investigators are taking this theory pretty seriously. Now, we don't have any, they're the ones with the insight because they're, the ones there foot on the ground, right? But here's the question that I have. Why has it taken? Maybe it's the why. Maybe it's kind of like, for me, this is where I'm stuck, that it goes back to motive. Who in the right mind would take an 84-year-old woman out of her bed to abduct her, right? Who would take somebody's grandmother, mom, great grandmother, whatever, out of their bed to do all this for what? And it goes back to how this crime was treated. I don't think that it was treated as an abduction or a kidnapping or anything. It was literally taken as like a situation where this woman who possibly has dementia, I don't know, she just walked away. Something, right?
Would have lasted, this jammer situation? Was it just one night? I mean, what do we know about it?
So we know this started because we found out that the FBI agents were asking the neighbors if they experienced an internet disruption or outage right around the time that Nancy Guthrie went missing, which was around 2 a.m. on February 1st. Come to find out, one of the neighbors who lives behind Nancy Guthrie tells me that he realized that the two Ring cameras on the back of his house, so that the part that are actually closest to Nancy Guthrie's house, became inactive during that time period, which has never happened before. And he's, of course, reported that now to the FBI. Also interesting, Jesse, one of his dogs actually woke up at that same time, which he says is very unusual in the middle of the night, and wanted to go outside and then was staring in the direction of Nancy Guthrie's house.
So let me ask you about this, Paul. Based on what we're seeing here, I'm going to leave the floor to you. You saw the video, the picture where it might appear that this suspect has a jammer in the back pocket. You heard the description laid out by Brian. Is this all consistent with somebody purchasing and using some sort of jamming signal device? What would it do? Does it?
And you know what's so interesting is that when we first got these pictures, a lot of people in my chat, when we were reviewing, this is how, first of all, shout out to the sleuths, shout out to the people, because there was a lot of people in my chat, I remember, who were putting out there that they were saying that looks like an antenna. That looks like an antenna. People already online, the minute that all this went down, were saying that that looked like an antenna. I'm thinking it was like a handgun or maybe another one, right? Or a pocket something or something. I don't know.
Seem consistent?
It does, considering the proximity. So these Wi-Fi jammers typically have a range of between like 30 to 100 feet. And so the investigators are doing exactly what you'd expect them to do, calling around asking, did everybody's Wi-Fi signal get jammed at the exact same time? And considering that it was the two Ring cameras on the backside of the house closest to Nancy Guthrie's house, it sounds like it was probably a pretty short range Wi-Fi jammer. We can't know for sure though, but if you look at the router logs and see, did Wi-Fi signal go down, but was the internet still on, but the Wi-Fi signal was lost? In other words, if you had an Ethernet connection, you're still able to connect to the internet, but you lose the Wi-Fi signal, because that's actually what's being jammed. It's not the internet, it's just the Wi-Fi signal.
And by the way, the router wouldn't pick it up, right?
Well, what happened is the router would, you lose the connection between the device and the router, right?
Okay.
So the connection that you're looking for is either a 2.5.
But would it be for the whole block? Would it be for just this property? How far is that range? It's interesting.
4 gigahertz or a 5 gigahertz connection, so that frequency gets jammed by those handheld Wi-Fi jammers. And so if you see that, for instance, the internet's still active, but suddenly you've lost connection to one of those devices that was connected by Wi-Fi, and that happened with multiple devices, that would definitely indicate that it was probably a Wi-Fi jammer.
Just want to follow up on that, Paul, because you might look at the photos and the videos that were taken from Nancy's Ring camera of this suspect. It's quite clear in quality, and the fact that we have it, would that suggest that perhaps there wasn't a jammer used?
That's actually what I've been wondering this entire time. So the thing is, you can jam a signal and still actually get the video uploaded. So when you're using Ring, 99% of the time that footage gets uploaded to the cloud. So it's actually possible that you have a Wi-Fi jammer, and it just so happens that the footage gets uploaded before the Wi-Fi signal's jammed. Yeah. What's perplexing about it, though, is why did he physically remove the camera if he had a Wi-Fi jammer, unless it was just to be extra safe, I guess. Maybe that's the case.
I'm thinking paranoia and safe. Well, of course, be extra safe. Let's remove the camera. Here's the deal. Here's the question. And I even asked it what was it when we last talked about this? I said, hey, so y'all remember when they released these photos, they didn't tell us it was different days, right? They didn't even give us a date of these photos. Is it possible that they only were able to retrieve these photos because they just happened to be on the cloud. Why is it that if it was a Wi-Fi jammer, that didn't intercept with things going to the, I mean, this clearly went to a cloud of some sorts, right? Nancy Guthrie didn't even have a subscription in that camera. So, you know, and that was the fear of like, okay, she doesn't have a subscription. Clearly, you know, nobody's going to be able to know who and what happened here. But here we have two photos and we don't have the dates of the photos. I don't know if that has something to do with the jammer. Did it interfere with it capturing time and date? Could that have been a thing? That's why we don't know exactly like the time frame here. And then the other question is that if they were able to obtain those photos, how and why, if they had a Wi-Fi jammer, wouldn't that intercept with like Panda Ann says right here with the cloud? Like, wouldn't that stop that? And also, what about personal phone devices, right? Does that affect the service of that phone? Which hence, if that, you know, like it's not going to catch on to a tower. It's not going to catch on to other areas. I mean, these are just things, questions out loud, right? And if the internet goes down, doesn't it record it? That would be another great question. I think that these are for us people that are kind of regular people. These are great questions, right? But here's the other scary part. The commentary that's been given about this situation is that the guy is an amateur. He didn't know what he was doing. The guy hasn't been caught. Nancy hasn't been found. And now we're talking about a possible Wi-Fi jammer. That's not no like amateur. I mean, clearly he knew what he was going there a couple different days. He knew what he was doing. He was scoping out. You know, did Nancy know him? Did other people know him? That's what I want to know. Yeah, I mean, these are all like questions that we have. Let's keep going.
Well, see, so Brian, let me go back to you. Nobody knows this case better than you. Two parts to this. Does it make sense to you that this was so professional, this was so organized, using a device like this? And also, has there been any evidence that that is actually some sort of jamming device in the back pocket, that it is an antenna? What have you been hearing from your sources and on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's possible that it was a walkie-talkie, Jesse. I think that's a real possibility because this person may not have wanted to bring their phone to the house knowing that they could have been tracked and was using that walkie-talkie to maybe communicate with a getaway driver that was parked, you know, blocks away. I think that could be the case. But the fact that the FBI is...
Now, walkie-talkies have channels, right? That wouldn't intercept with any of that? Interesting. Here's the other part to this, too. Nancy had a pacemaker. So would that have shut down her pacemaker? That's the sad part of this too. Is it possible that his Wi-Fi jammer, you know, conflicted with that pacemaker? And we talked about this too on Friday.
Specifically now asking neighbors about an internet disruption, and that this one neighbor has this situation. And the other interesting thing is behind Nancy's house is like an area of open desert that this other neighbor lives on. So I'm wondering, you know, if this suspect came in through the desert, through the backside, maybe had the jammer on, and as they were passing houses on the backside, it was interfering with those Wi-Fi signals. So, you know, the neighbors may have been impacted, not from when he was at Nancy Guthrie's house, but from when he was moving through the desert behind their homes. I think that could also be a possibility.
Now, I'm going to steal a question from Katie Pavlich that she asked of you, Brian. Don't tell her, it's fine. But now I have Paul, so I want to ask him this. Is it possible a device like this could be used to disrupt someone's cell phone if they wanted to call 911, if they wanted to use, I don't know, 5G or Wi-Fi, well, definitely Wi-Fi, but 5G? I mean, could it disrupt someone's cell phone? So, I mean, again, the idea of if, let's say, somebody was about to call 911 or Nancy was going to call 911, anything we should be thinking about there?
I mean, it is theoretically possible that they're, especially considering how a lot of cell phones are actually ultimately utilizing Wi-Fi at the end of the day to connect. Traditionally, though, you don't think so. Wi-Fi jammer doesn't normally interfere with most cell phones, with most cell signals. So it would be a pretty bold move to bring that a device like that and just assume that that's going to disrupt a cell signal.
Yeah.
That's a little. I wouldn't bet on that if I had been that person.
Bold move. You're talking about somebody who went up to you know, the mother of a TV star and you know, doctor. It's pretty crazy. Brian, as we finish.
Ain't that the truth, though? It's like we would never suspect that this would happen. You hear about this with a baby or a toddler, a teenager, not an 84-year-old woman, right? And so it's the why would this happen to her? Why And the only thing that we can speculate, and you're right, Vic, like a lot of you guys are saying it's a lot of speculation. I 1000% agree that maybe we've entered this realm of speculation because there are no other updates. We're literally, what is it, day 30, 34 now? What would be the motive? And it's so hard not to get in speculation because the crime in itself is just, it's just unheard of, you know?
Finish up the week, go back to another key piece of evidence or potential key piece of evidence. Any updates on that vehicle that was caught on camera?
No, unfortunately, we haven't gotten a significant update from the sheriff on that, just that they're continuing to look at it. It hasn't been discounted. Something else interesting, though, just by the way, when it comes to the jammer and the cell phone stuff, I mean, right where Nancy's house is, where I'm standing, it's kind of in like a little dip in the road. There's almost no cell phone service here just regularly. I mean, you barely get even one bar down here, which is just kind of interesting to think about, too, as we learn that they see.
He did say that. He said that. So I remember this was Friday. He said that he was walking around. He's like, for whatever reason, in the Nancy Guthrie area, like it's like a dead zone. Y'all know how when I had this a lot, you know, when you go to like a relative's house, never really encountered it in my place, but you know, it's like for whatever reason, you know, you might get low bars or whatever. And it's just always like that. It's like a dead zone. Brian Ensign had said this about her property in that area. So it would have been easy to shut things off with the jammer, right?
To be having a hard time tracking the cell phones that were coming in and out of this area. That seems like it could be a component too that's making it more difficult, Jesse.
Just great. Just another complicating factor in this case.
Yep, pretty much. 90 Day says that you need a magnet to remove the pacer. Okay, once the magnet is removed, so you need a magnet to turn off the pacer. Once the magnet is removed, the pacer works again and then needs to be reconfigured, called interrogation. I still think the pacemaker company should know if the heart is still beating or not. You would think that that would be something that we'd be able to know, right? Like, but it sounded like she needed daily medication, whatever that is. I think it was, yeah, for her heart. So, I mean, unless the person that took her, you know, walked down to Mexico and went to the farmacia and ordered the, you know, I don't know how else. I don't think that that's necessarily a priority. And I think maybe this is why it's been so prolonged. And yes, Luna, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Happy International Women's Day. That is, look it, I woke up and I forgot it's the Women's Day. I was complaining about, you know, the hardship of being a woman and the changes in the body. So thank you for reminding me of that. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe they don't want to say it because they can't say for sure, right? Absolutely. You said, yes, you hold a magnet over it and it turns off temporarily, says Muzzy. Okay. So that's how you turn it off. Interesting. That's right. Blood thinners. It could have been disconnected the phone. Yeah, because the phone was the one that was connected to the pacemaker, right? But the pacemaker will still work. So maybe it got disconnected from the phone, but the pacemaker's still working. There's that. You said it's a medical magnet. I didn't even know that was a thing. There's a medical magnet, on a machine. We had to turn off my GPS pacemaker so he can pass peacefully. Wow. Your grandpa's, I'm sorry. We had to turn off, not GPS. We had to turn off my grandpa's pacemaker so he can pass peacefully. Oh, wow. So there is a medical magnet for that. That's interesting. Yeah. And that's just an app, right? You said I need to find a place with one bar so people leave me alone. Oh my God, you're funny. Okay, so interesting thoughts. I mean, y'all let me know what you guys think in the comments.
It's so disappointing. Brian Ensign, thank you so much for your terrific reporting as always. And Paul Powers, thank you so much for your analysis of this issue. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, shut up, Cuomo. Let me stop him right here. Okay, so let's get into Ensign right here. Y'all, shout out to Ensign again. He gets into this conversation and I saw a little bit of it and I had some thoughts. I wanted to know what you guys thought about this too. Because we've been talking a lot about this, right? The people that have been wrongfully accused and everything that's happening.
Is here in Pima County. And this is an episode, something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, that I was just waiting for sort of the right moment when I had like some time and things weren't really crazy. Because this is something that has bothered me for quite some time covering crime. When innocent people or people where there's just no evidence to prove that they are connected to a crime end up somehow getting thrown under the bus online. And these things just take off. They go viral, and when there's nothing really to back it up. And I've kind of just like sat back and watched it happen a lot, several times. I mean, you think back to like Idaho when I covered Brian Koberger and I was there for months. And throughout that process, I mean, people were accusing Ethan Chapin's frat brothers of being involved and naming them and showing photos. And then there was Hoodie Guy. And I mean, this isn't just, you know, friends chatting at dinner or friends in a small online group just kicking around theories. I mean, obviously people are going to do that, and you know, that's fine. But what bothers me is when it's people with a huge following that literally go viral. And you know, I'm sitting here covering the story, thinking to myself, wait a minute, like there's no evidence that this person is connected. We haven't seen any, you know, facts to support this. And sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe the person is, maybe they aren't. But you know, maybe the person is, maybe they aren't, isn't enough to report something. And I get that like a lot of people who discuss these cases online aren't journalists, and they're just, I think some people lose track that this is like real life and these are real people and real families. And it's almost like a video game to them. And they don't have the same like journalistic standards as people who are, you know, covering these cases for like news organizations or for YouTube. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not trying to call out like YouTubers. I mean, obviously this is my YouTube and I have TikTok and I like YouTube and I like TikTok and I like Twitter. And I'm not like calling out like, hey, the journalists are better that are on TV and that do the, you know, our newspaper journalists. Like, I don't think that at all. So that's not what I'm trying.
And I really do believe him when he says that, because I think that Brian Enton has been the type that he will side when things are there. But I could also see this other side of like, you know, if somebody hasn't, or, you know, if we're not hearing what we want from Pima County, which has been the trend on this case, you know, Yosemite Sam Jr., Chris Nanos, he hasn't really, what's the word? He'll say something and then you kind of have to take from it what you will. But it hasn't really satisfied this other side of the internet that says, well, no, it must be this and it must be that. I don't know where you guys land with that. I feel like it's important to kind of like, you know, what can we do, right? We are not the law. We're just online commentators. And we do need to be careful with some of the stuff that's happening.
To say, I guess what I'm trying to say is it bothers me when I see people who I know, because I'm covering the cases so closely, there's no evidence that they're connected to the crime, being called out. And I've seen behind the scenes what that does to families. And everybody moves on, like with Idaho. But those people, you still Google their names and these crazy theories are out there, which I'm going to get to the Idaho connection in a second. But just speaking specifically.
Wait, there's an Idaho connection to this? That's crazy. I haven't even heard about this. Natasha, and this is a good point, right? Harvey 11, this is the stuff that I even, Sheriff Harvey, we called this out. If you read the police report from the second, let's go back a little bit, and I'll give you a quick little refresher for those that don't know what I'm talking about. The second press conference, the FBI came, and he said that they made an arrest, okay? By the second press conference, that's when the first video from TMZ was made, talking about we received a letter, right? A ransom note, okay? When they put that out there, the following day, the press conference happened, guys. And then there was the video from Savannah and family too, okay? So there's a lot happening within a 48 to 24-hour span. TMZ puts that letter out, and then when the press conference happens, the FBI agent says what? We had to arrest somebody by the name of Derek who made a false, you know, he contacted the family and it was all false, right? Everything was false. Had they not said, they meaning TMZ, Harvey Levin, you know, had he not put out there about the ransom note, none of us would have known anything, because the first ransom note went to local media and they didn't put it out. What did they do? They went to police. So yes, my friends, like I completely get it, but you can't talk, like TMZ has a huge following too, right? They may not be posted outside there like, you know, all the other YouTubers. I get that. But that created a copycat. And it even says it on the police report that he saw the story about a ransom note and he thought it would be okay to just say it. And let's not forget Banfield. Okay? Prime suspect. Well, not the minute that she said that shit, everybody started looking at Tomasi Sioni. Tomasi Sione's bandmates. Tomasi Sioni and, you know, his second, third, fourth cousin removed. I mean, that's how deep this goes, right? So again, I can take, as a YouTuber, I think we should be able to take ownership of the things that we create and cause, right? Like, I definitely want to do that. But at the same time, I feel like these major media outlets also need to take accountability for the things that they put out there. Because had they not put that out there, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. It makes you wonder if all these other people would have been accused, right? And then they get to move on. They get to move on, and they don't have to address things. They don't.
Specifically about Nancy Guthrie, there was this New York Times article about Dominic Evans, who is Tommaso's bandmate. Tommaso, of course, is Annie Guthrie's husband. And I've tried to talk to Dominic, and I haven't had much luck. But the New York Times was able to talk to him. And, there were all these theories online that he was somehow connected, despite there being no evidence. And he told the New York Times, I feel like someone's taken my name. I don't know, monetary clickbait to be relevant, entertainment, but there are innocent people that get hurt. And like with him, he is a teacher. So think about what these theories that get out there and people posting things about him or someone like him, like what that can do to your career and to your life.
Exactly. Yeah, and in 90 days he never addressed it. Like, they did a video, right? And like I said, I'm not, I may not be a fan of what Charlie stood for and all that other stuff. That's fine. That's neither here nor there, but I don't cheer anybody's death. I don't, That's just where I'm at. But they kind of moved on right away. And that's what they do. That's what TMZ does. And historically, they've always kind of moved that way. I mean, was it Kobe Bryant's death that they put out there before his wife? Before even people knew? It's the same thing with Liam Payne. I mean, these are things that it's like, yeah, I get it that they're celebrities, but damn, can you at least wait for like the families to be informed?
According to the New York Times, Dominic's connection to the Guthrie family dates back to 2007. He joined a rock band. It was called Early Black with Tommaso. After responding to a Craigslist ad, this is all according to the New York Times, they started jamming regularly. Dominic mentioned that he was married to the older sister of Savannah Guthrie, that Tommaso had told him that. And he said he met Nancy Guthrie only once in 2011 when he brought his oldest son to hunt for Easter eggs at her home. So that's his sort of connection to Nancy Guthrie. But beyond that, like, no one has seen any evidence that obviously that he's connected to the crime, but these theories went crazy online for a while, to the point where even if you guys remember back on February 13th, I had the tip and I was, basically there with the SWAT team when they raided that house, which that person, Luke Daly, still hasn't been arrested. And we don't know if there's no evidence that he's connected either. But what's interesting is at that same time, there were a ton of other people over at Dominic's house thinking that his house was going to get raided. And he was apparently like so scared that he didn't sleep at the house that night. And there was never any, I mean, I've got sources now here. There was never any evidence behind the scenes that they were going to raid Dominic's house or that he's ever been connected to the crime. So it's just one example of this happening where a couple of people online with big followings decide to call somebody out who they think is involved, even there's no evidence of it, and it spirals out of control, and then everybody moves on. But the truth is, for these people who are victims of this, like they can't move on. Their name is now out there forever, and these posts live on forever. And again, it's just something that's bothered me because I've seen it happen over and over again. And the example also back with Idaho, which is really what I want to dive into in this episode, is there was this professor who this TikTok psychic from very early on.
Oh, yo. I was like, what's the connection with Idaho? Okay, so girl, I posted this on my community wall, and did I bookmark it? I forgot. We were supposed to talk about this, and I completely forgot. It just never came to my radar. So he's going to give this example about the TikToker. There was a TikToker who was a psychic TikToker during the Idaho 4, and she accused a professor. And I remember when this story first broke, and it was kind of wild. She was accusing this professor based on her psychic readings, and the lady did not stop. I mean, even now, she's still not stopping. Let me see if I can find the clip. Idaho 4, Idaho psychic. I think her name was Ashley. Was it Ashley? I think her name is Ashley. Yeah, so even now, even after this lawsuit, losing, I think it's 10 million that she owes this professor, she's still going. She's still going. Tarot reader influencer ordered to pay 10 million in damages for falsely accusing professor of Idaho 4 murders. The federal judge ruled influencer Ashley statements were defamatory and based only on her spiritual intuition about the murders. And let me tell you, for the longest time, I thought, because of the anti-slap and all the stuff, in between, I really did think that she was going to she wasn't going to be held accountable, at least for the things that she put out there, because she went deep with this professor. No, she owes that money and she has to pay.
Was posting relentlessly about saying that she was responsible for the murders, even though there was literally no evidence. It was like the craziest theory ever. There was zero evidence that she was at all connected, and this TikToker would not stop doing it.
Yep.
The TikToker's name is Ashley Gillard, and the Idaho professor's name is Rebecca Schofield.
That's
and
who
she
it
just
is.
kept saying that Rebecca Schofield was responsible and would not give up. And the theory started to catch on with some people that were following this TikToker, even though the theories literally made no sense. And what's interesting, and that's what I wanted to focus this episode on, is this professor fought back, whereas a lot of people don't. They just try to move on with their lives. But this professor fought back and ended up taking this TikToker all the way to federal court, where there was a trial that just ended last week, where a jury ended up awarding the professor a $10 million judgment that the TikToker now has to pay. Now, whether she has anywhere, I mean, there's no way she's going to be able to pay that. But
No.
I think it just sends a strong message that, you know, there are repercussions for doing this. And a lot of people kind of get away with it. But this is an example where someone decided to fight back, and a federal jury ended up coming back with this $10 million judgment. I'm joined now by Kevin Fixler from the Idaho Statesman. It's good to see you, Kevin. Thank you for coming back on.
Let me stop right here and shout out to Brian Enton. You guys can check it out. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, all right, think about it, guys. If you're a professor, if you're a teacher, if you're a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, a police officer, you know, and even for me, it's like I cover a lot of lawsuits. We've covered a lot of lawsuits here on this channel. And let me tell you something, and I stand on what I'm saying. If you're accusing me of doing something that I did not do, and you are relentless, and this is what's happening, you better believe, especially if I worked all my life to be a professor or whatever, even if it's an online commentator and I'm whatever it may be, but you're accusing me of crimes that I did not commit. Don't play victim. When I come back and I say, I'm tired of this, you know, I'm going to sue, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z because I have to protect me and my own, especially if you've worked in as a doctor, as a teacher, a lawyer, or whatever it may be. You should not have to put up with that. I'm sorry. You know, for whatever reason, it's like, it's one thing for us to do online commentary. I'm here for it. But if you really accusing me of something that I did not do, just to fulfill whatever conspiracy theory you got going on, you better believe that I would be one to sue. Okay. And I'm not one. Please know, I'm all for the First Amendment. Some people don't even have an understanding of what that really means. They think that they do. And I'm all here for it, but you're not protected by harassment, defaming somebody's character, ongoing type of behavior, especially when it's been going for so long. You're allowed, okay, to be you're allowed to defend yourself, and you're allowed to do something about it. So yeah, I mean, the professor did something, so I'm not going to like shit on the professor. I don't care if the cards told you this and that and the other. Well, the cards were wrong and you still kept going and you still didn't correct yourself. Girl, I don't know. That's crazy. Anyways, moving on. Now hold up, y'all, because I was trying to see. I can't believe I can't find that video. Hold on, let's see. Maybe I do have it. Hold up. I thought I did, but maybe I don't. Because apparently the lady's still going even after losing 10 million. Now that's the question, is she going to be able to pay it back? That is the question. She might not be able to. Oh, hold up. Here it is. I found it. She's still going. And then we're going to move on to our next part of this commentary. Okay. Hold up. Let's see. $10 million verdict against me, part 26. Lord have mercy.
$10 million verdict against me, part 26. So my question is, Rebecca Schofield had everything on her team. She had lawyers, a team of lawyers. She had money from the teachers union, from the federal teachers union. Several unions gave her money for her lawyer fees. She had money from GoFundMe, $22,000. She had witnesses, a team, like at least 7 or 8 witnesses testifying on her behalf, even though some of them failed in cross-examination. She had family and friends to support her. She had her job to support her. She had the case in Idaho of her peers, upstate of her peers, not my peers. I didn't have witnesses. I didn't have lawyers. I didn't have money given to me. I didn't have a state. It wasn't even in my state. I didn't have a jury of my peers. Why did they also have to cheat? That's
Wait a minute. This is this what? She cheated because the professor had lawyers and people on her side? That's the shit. It's like, wait a minute, you're being held accountable and yet you're the victim because you didn't just put out that this woman had something to do. Not only, if I remember correctly, the allegations that she had put out there was that this woman not only had something to do with the murders, but that she was having a relationship with one of the victims. And that's what I'm talking about. Then when people are held accountable, you have people that they want to play. Oh, well, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Well, why didn't you just stop? Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you stop? That's the question, right? Why didn't you stop at the cease and desist letter? Why didn't you stop when people told you to stop? Why didn't you stop? And yet here you are, the victim. Girl, you're going to have this. This is, it sucks. 10 million. Does she have the money? No, but it's really a message for people out there that are doing the most. It's the audacity.
I'm ranting about juror number 5 because why did they also have to have someone that they knew on the jury when they had everything else?
Girl. And that's what I'm talking about. If you're wrong, you're wrong. You're wrong. That's it. Oh, this makes me so angry, y'all. I'm so angry. Let me stop, y'all. Let me stop. It's just like, what do you mean? And then it's the audacity to play victim. You're playing victim when you were told to stop a professor whose life has been there. Like, no, what's wrong with you? You know what? Auntie, she got the wrong spirit. It's the wrong spirit that she consulted with. Lord have mercy. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Ronan. Shout out to my mod, Ronan, who says, you and your victim mentality can go. Find the door. It's right over there. That's what I'm saying is like, you can't have it both ways. You could have, if somebody sends me a cease and desist, all right, cool, I stop, I move on, whatever. Maybe I got something wrong. I'll even correct it because I do get things wrong. It happens. It's life, you know? And I'm not a huge, person, right? Like I don't have people, it's just me doing research and I've gotten stuff wrong all the time and I have apologized publicly and I will always do that. I might get wrong, tomorrow, whatever it may be. But that case, when that Idaho 4 case, when it broke, you guys, there have been so many conspiracy theories that happened there and so many people that were accused that had nothing to do with that. I mean, it's been ongoing. And if all you're relying is your spiritual intuition and you think that that is somehow going to save you from a defamation case or any of this stuff, no, you're wrong. Like, and I'm sorry. And it's okay to say that. She's wrong. And the people that were supporting her were wrong too. Okay. And like I said, I support the First Amendment. But if you're falsely accusing somebody of committing crimes based on intuitions or stuff like that, and then you're loud about it, you deserve to get sued. I would definitely sue you. I will. That's just a given. Okay. Ronan, again, thank you so much for the $5, my love. Shout out to you. All right. So first of all, a shout out to True Crime with Strategic Eyes. Mr. Eyes last night went live and I told you guys, I said, listen, once like True Crime starts talking, really digging into the details of this case, then you are going to have other True Crime channels pick it up. Then you'll have bigger channels like Court TV, Law and Crime, all these bigger, channels pick up and really get their hands on this. And I think that, 90 Day Leida, probably wasn't maybe expecting that. I'm not really sure. I want to shout out a couple people because some of you guys send me some stuff. Geneva, thank you so much for sending me a lot of things. I still have a lot to look over. Thank you for hitting up that email. Thank you, Vic, for dropping that link. I want to shout out Cooch LC and also E11 for y'all sending me more stuff and kind of giving me an understanding of different things. I also want to say a couple things about just the overall 90-day stuff. You know, for me, how do I say this? I'm approaching this in a commentary kind of fashion. I've had some insight into the 90-day stuff because we've covered 90-day stuff here, you know. I'm not going to act like we haven't. I'm not going to act like I don't know some of these characters, you know, the people that are you know, in such situations. I understand. Like I said, I'm not a fan of everybody that's involved. But I could definitely give commentary and just keep it at that, because I really don't want to go back and forth with people. And I think that for what would be the point of that if all we're trying to do is just really stick to what the concerns are, the allegations are, what the case is, and what's happening, right? So I'm here for it. I appreciated that Mr. Eyes dropped a link for, I think it was Maria, for Maria Leida's friend. Okay. And I wanted to react to that, because that was, first of all, I kept saying in the chat, I said, well, Mr. Eyes is cooking. I don't know if you guys see that. There's something different about a person online. You know, we can do online commentary, right? I told you I've worked in CPS for 10 plus years. So some of this stuff right here is very much the language of the report is not new to me. I'm very familiar with what these reports look like. I understand when there's a child death investigation, what they're looking for. I know for a fact that they're not just working on their own as far as the agency. They're working in conjunction with other agencies. There is some confusion, and I have to put this out here. This report right here, people have called it the autopsy report. This is not an autopsy report. This is a CPS incident report. And I bet you anything, I didn't even look at this, but I should have. This report right here, the 6-month final summary report for child death, serious injury, or egregious death. The state of Wisconsin, just like every other state, will do reports like this, reviews of this, of when a child dies in a situation, especially if there's already a CPS assessment or investigation open. They collect these, they get this information, and from this, they'll pull, like, you know, data, because you do have a lot of children that die, sometimes at the hands of their parents, egregiously, whatever it may be. And so it triggers an investigation, and CPS has to go out there and determine, like, what happened exactly. A lot of these reports are not just CPS, it's in conjunction with other entities. So there's information that the CPS worker is going to get from medical staff, from the nurses, to maybe even the police, right? Or forensics, medical examiners. These are information that they'll be able to collect. So if the medical examiner shared information with the CPS worker about what happened to the child, they could put that in the report, and they are able to close their case out. At some point, this is going to get reviewed because they had an open assessment. There's something that in their audits, especially in the state and federal audits, there's a checkbox that says, and I remember this because I remember I went to DC one year to do federal audits. There's a checkbox that says that whether a child died while there was an open assessment or an investigation. And this would probably be one of them. And so they're going to assess, well, what was the failure from that department? That being said, though, this is not an autopsy report. It is just that. It's a summary. And what CPS concludes could be the same or independent of law enforcement. Maybe they'll change their mind. And if not, it could be different. It could be the same or different from the DA's office, right? The DA's office might say, all right, we reviewed this. CPS is saying this. Law enforcement is saying this. The medical examiner's office is saying this. Based on this, we're going to move forward with charges. I mean, every office is going to move a little bit different. So I kind of wanted to put that out there. Now, let's see. Y'all are coming in spicy on this chat. Shout out to y'all. Okay. Let me see. I really like Mr. Eyes over here because, first of all, you got a professional, active detective. Okay. It's not just me or another commentator. No, this is somebody who, if you follow his channel, you're going to see that he touches these cases in that realm because he's given us his experience. And then his amazing mods who are like amazing researchers, they pull stuff, they pull a timeline, and they do the leg work. Some of the cases that we've both covered at the same time has been the D4VD, Emmanuel Jarro. I mean, these are cases that we have very common and we talk about in commentary. So I was so happy to see that he covered this. I said, oh, here we go. I was here for it. Okay, so I want to get to this interview, and he's reviewing this report, yada, yada, yada. Y'all go check him out. Check him out. Let's see. He drops the link for Maria. I think it's over here. Hold up.
But obviously, this is, a great opportunity to hear her perspective of the situation. And if you guys are hearing that I'm only looking to talk to Maria. So if you do call in and we find out what your username is,
okay,
you're going to get blocked from the channel, right? Because that's very rude of you to do that. Afterwards, when we're done talking to her, looks like we'll be here for a while.
Okay, come on.
Whoever wants in the research group, I don't care. I'm gonna post a number here. Call in, please, so we can test this out, and then we'll put the number for we'll put the number for Maria. I just post it inside of the group chat. Somebody please call in. Post haste, forthwith, as we say.
Thank you.
When shit is hitting the fan on the streets and you need backup, you say, "Send me backup."
When shit is hitting the fan.
All right, so I'm gonna let you go. All right. Perfect. All right, so Aki called in. Y'all got to hear Aki.
Shout out to Aki.
Hello.
Aki has a cute voice. Shout out to Aki.
I'm from Harlem. I'll be just ragging on my sister. Anyway, this is the phone number. Please call in Maria. Love to hear from you, Maria. Call in. Phone number's only for Maria.
All right, here we go, girl.
This Maria?
Yes, it's Maria.
Perfect. Thank you. We hear you loud and clear. Before we start talking, chat, how do we sound, guys? Do we sound good? You see the chat. Get some thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Maria, why don't you introduce yourself real quick and see some thumbs up. Introduce yourself. First of all, I'm new to this case, so I don't know everything about it. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, a little about your show? Because my understanding is you're a blogger, and a little bit of how you're connected to this, if you don't mind.
Well, I was just watching 90 Day Fiancé when Leida was on at that time, and I wasn't on YouTube yet. And we started back and forth messaging, and had good times, bad times. Like we would argue about things and then we ended up just being friends. But other than that, I had blogged on another account called Drop the Mic, which was corn bombed recently. Mm-hmm. So I had lost that account. And I'm on this other account for now until I get that one back. Okay. But I'm just here to say that those audios were stolen.
Okay.
They weren't stolen. Well, they were stolen. They weren't given to John Yates.
Who's John Yates?
They were actually.
I don't know who.
He's a blogger. Okay. They were actually given to. They were actually given to the police.
Okay.
And somebody had given him that, and he put his name on it.
Now, is it possible that the police could have leaked this or something like that? Because are you saying that they were given directly to the police?
No, they were given to someone to give to the police.
Okay, so there is a middle person where you could have
right, and that middle person handed it to John Yates, and he put his name on it.
Okay, all right. So, talk to me about that conversation. All right. How did you feel about what she was telling you?
Well, when I had been talking to her already for a couple of years, maybe about a year and a half by this time, because we were on and off talking, and I had no idea she was even pregnant. And we were talking.
She hadn't really told people she was pregnant, right? I think people had said that she had posted something on her social media, but there was something to be said about the situation as well. Now, I thought it was really interesting that Mr. Eyes over here asked about, like, why wasn't why wasn't information given to law enforcement before it was given to that blogger? And I think it just shows you guys, like, in true crime, if you want justice for this baby, that's primary before it even hits any of the YouTube, right? And I think everybody here, if we want the investigation to happen, we want things to be cleared, we want to make sure that the right information, especially if you suspect that something happened to this baby, it should be going to the appropriate authorities versus a blogger that it's for theatrics here versus an actual real investigation. Sure, the truth will be put out there, but I think primarily we want it for that investigation.
Through her pregnancy, and I had no idea. So when she told me that the baby was in the hospital, I honestly did not think there was a baby.
Okay.
Because I wasn't aware of it. And that's why it caught me off guard, and I shared that conversation because I was thinking that something's going on there, but there's never been a baby at that time.
Now, when you guys are having that conversation and she's saying that she's accepted it, to your knowledge, was that before or after the baby was deceased?
It was, according to her, after the baby was deceased.
Right. I mean, that makes sense to me. People in the chat were saying that it might have been before, but I mean, yeah. Okay. So what's the status of your relationship with her now?
See, Genevra's in the chat right now. The audio was given to her so she can forward it to the police, and she gave it to John Yates.
What's her name?
Genevra.
Genevra to 2.5. And I have it to both the police and to John Yates. Why did you give it to John Yates, Genevra? I'm just curious. And what's your relationship with Genevra?
We're just friends.
You're just friends. So Genevra, why did you give it to John Yates and also give it to the police instead of just giving it to the police? I'm curious about that. Maybe she'll answer that inside of the chat and we'll be able to read it out there. All right. So what's your relationship?
And I think that's a legit question, y'all. Y'all be nice in the chat, please. And thank you. Be nice. Look, I know people don't get along. I get it. Everybody's carrying different things from the community. I haven't been a fan of a lot of people. Let's just be nice. I think ultimately we just want the truth to come out. You know what I mean? I think that's where we're all at, right?
Relationship with Leida at this moment?
We're friends.
You're still friends? All right.
Yes.
Does she know that you gave that audio to the police?
Yes.
Is she upset about that?
She was upset at the time, but she, if you listen to all the audio, at that time I was thinking that Eric had done something, and she was protecting Eric.
So so she basically feels like you weren't giving it because you thought she did something. You were giving it because you thought Eric did something.
Okay.
Do you still believe that Eric is the one that harmed that baby?
I have no idea, to be honest. I think something happened there, and I don't think it was, according to what I've been told, it's not it wasn't a brand new what is like concussion or whatever it had, whatever the baby was swelling, it wasn't brand new.
Well, the baby had concussions, but we're talking about fractures to the bones as well.
Yeah, but from what I understand, the fractures weren't new.
Okay.
So the people who are saying that he was under arrest that day, that they weren't new fractures.
Right.
So I don't know which of the two.
So do you think it's possible that
This is an amazing question. When he started asking this, immediately my mind went into, oh shit, like prolonged abuse, right? So if you think about, there weren't new fractures. Every time you hear that verbiage, and he said it too, and I thought about this too. Every time you hear that verbiage, it basically tells you that this baby had been abused for a period of time. And this baby is only 5 weeks old. Think about it, okay?
Friend could have done something to that child.
It's possible that either one.
Okay.
Or I don't even know her. I don't know her babysitting arrangements that she had at the time with the child. I've never met her in person. I don't know their daily life. I don't know if anybody was babysitting them while she went to work, because she was working.
Right.
Oh.
So I have no idea.
Well, I don't have a lot of friends.
I don't know who came into the house. Put it that way.
I keep my circle pretty small. So if somebody asks me if I thought that one of my friends had done something that I think is like totally out of character, I would be like, no, I don't think that this person could do that. But you said you don't know. So what is it about?
I don't know them. I don't know them like you would know a friend in real life, like someone that you go out with, or somebody you hang out with. I don't know her that way.
Yeah.
I know her as in we've been messaging and texting for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I can't say for one person that I'm not physically in contact with and see her, what goes on in their house.
And this is a good point. And that's the thing too, you know, like, how do I say this? Sometimes I've been doing this channel for 5 years, right? And I could tell you that some people here that I've talked to offline, I've never met in person, right? I've never met in person, but I might let them in because of time or coverage or things, or the fact that they've been really nice. I could consider them friends, which is kind of an off the wall thing to say, because typically, right, like Maria's saying right here, you know, I've talked to her, I know her, but we've never actually met. So there is this thing where it's like, well, do you truly know somebody? Can you truly know somebody if you've never actually met them in person? And you could say that a lot about a lot of YouTube communities that, you know, engage in the drama, that kind of go back and forth, right? Like, that's the theme. We don't really know each other like that. We know of each other because we go live and we talk and we connect, and we might, you know, be in group chats and start ish over here. But do we really, really know each other? Probably not, right? There's something really weird, and maybe it's parasocial, right? You could say that. But there's something really off about the fact that we don't know each other, and yet and still, because we've gotten to know each other, we could think that somebody couldn't do, like, you couldn't do this to your child. You couldn't hurt your child this way, right? You couldn't do this. Somebody hiding guns, or somebody planning to do X, Y, and Z, and they're showing another side of this personality. Let me give you guys an example. Ruby Frankie, the YouTuber, with her whole family, they were filming everything that was going on, right? Perfect family, everything's great. But behind the scenes, there was all this child abuse that was going on, right? And that's not allegedly, that actually happened. And then, you know, she leaves, and you see all this dysfunction that's happening. That is more common. So even though I may know this castmate because maybe I've had a conversation with her, maybe we've talked hours, maybe I told her about my marriage or something, but outside of that, we've never been in the same room. So can you truly know somebody? Would this be somebody that would go to your wedding or has gone to your wedding? I mean, these are kind of things that you have to ask. We don't truly know each other like that. All I could tell you is, and some of you guys are professionals. I know I got nurses, I got lawyers in the chat, I got different professionals. I got a lot of lawyers that follow my channel too. Shout out to them. All I could tell you is that you may be my friend online, but outside of that, I really don't know how you are with your kids. So if something happens, I only know what you tell me. And how convenient is it that if you're online and you have a platform, if you're able to dispel or talk or put out information, you're going to report what's you feel like what you're hearing from my side, especially if you support me. However, I know that if the truth comes out and it really was X, Y, and Z, you might change your mind, right? So there's different ways to look at this, honestly. Ronan, thank you so much for the $2. Said, why were there fractures in the first place? That is the how does a baby 5 weeks old, okay, think about it. It hasn't even develop. I mean, you know, it's developed, but like it hasn't done all the, like, it hasn't met all the milestones. 5 weeks old. To have old fractures, what does that even mean? What does old fractures mean? That's not an accident. That's prolonged, right? So keep that in mind. And this is what really makes me even more upset, is that if the department was involved on an open assessment on June 28th, they report that they saw this baby in their report. Did they do a wellness check on this baby? I mean, I know the baby's not gonna be able to tell you I'm okay, but like, was there any discoloration to the skin color of the baby? Was the baby sleeping? Was the baby awake? Was the baby crying? If it's prolonged abuse, typically this baby's gonna be crying. I think somebody said it in the chat. Was it George? This baby's probably been in pain, right? So was the baby fussy when you were there? Did the mom connect with the baby when she was holding the baby? Did she hold the baby? Was the baby in the other room? These are things that would be in an assessment, a real good assessment. But if they're only there for one child, which is a 12-year-old, somebody dropped the ball in the department, which is exactly what I said when we first talked about this. And thank you, Ronan, for the $2. Taylor, thank you so much for being a member for 5 months. Thank you, man, for doing all that you do. Thank you, Taylor. I appreciate it. Thank you, love. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. Well, and somebody said roll up. You could also cause injury by, rolling onto the baby at 5 weeks. People tend to sleep with their babies. And I know, because to me is like, I come from that too. And I have this thing, especially, my last kid was baby bunny. And I mean, I don't think I slept, right? I can't put her on my bed because I'm worried about rolling over. And then I had a bassinet right next to me, but then I'm worried that she's not breathing. Let me go check on her. And so with newborns, you never get sleep the first 3 months. It's very rare that you'll get any sleep.
Fair enough. So in your interaction, because you're saying you've been friends for years and there's been times where you guys have had ups and downs. Does she come off as a person that can be volatile at times? Can you tell us a little bit about her character, the good and the bad? We just don't want to know the bad, but who is she as a person from your vantage point?
I can tell you that when she starts talking about the baby, she starts crying.
Okay.
And people say she doesn't cry.
We listened to 10. It's like almost 10 minutes. It's like 4 minutes and change for one, and a little bit over 5 minutes for another one. I'm just going off my memory. And she certainly did not sound emotional. Listen, I don't want her to be a murderer. I don't know who she is. I'm not.
This is why Mr. Eyes is like, I'm sure that's not Mr. Eyes' name. I'm just saying, because typically your channel name is, I just decided to call him Mr. Eyes. Shout out to Strategic. But sometimes we look for, especially in true crime, we look for like emotion, right? And by emotion, she doesn't look upset. She's not she's not. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you, man, those videos that we saw, girl, she does not look. She doesn't. She anything but to address the issue, and it's almost like she has to put a face on in front of everybody, a performance on anything but addressing the baby, anything. And even when she talked to Maria on that recording, she's already basically declared the baby gone when the baby hadn't even died yet. So it's kind of like, well, we know where this is going. This is what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of the stuff that we look at too.
Watch the show. This is a new story to me. So I have no skin in the game to see this woman being accused of anything that she did not do. But I'm also a professional. I have 19 years of experience as a sex crimes investigator, and I'm still working. This is like this is what I do in my pastime. This is my hobby. Tomorrow when I go to work, I'm going to be investigating sex crimes. And so I've seen what trauma can do to people. And listening to her talk for those 9 minutes total, those two different videos, 9 minutes total, it didn't seem to me like she was very emotional, especially if we believe that conversation happened post the death of the child, post-mortem.
I agree. And like 90 Days said, this might be the videos that the jury's going to see, or that might convict her. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm telling you guys what it is. It's not looking very good at all. Thank you, Abraham, for telling me your like number. What is your like number? Hit the like, guys, please. And thank you. Hype up the video. I never tell people to do this enough. We need to get these likes up so that people can come and join our live. You said it's very telling when you hear Leida talking about the tragedy. That is evidence for me. Yeah, not my real name. It's almost like that one guy, the American Idol guy who calling 911 dispatch. My wife, Caleb, my wife, she was shot twice in the head. How do you know that? Now he's been convicted, or not convicted, charged with that. These are the behaviors that you look at. You look at how people are acting and what they're doing. It's absolutely correct.
She sounded pretty normal to me. She sounded like she was more concerned about her marriage, about her husband's finances and order protections. It didn't seem like she had a lot of empathy for the child. Did you pick up on that? Did you feel the same way? How do you feel about the way that she acted during that conversation?
I picked up on that too, but I also remember when she was on the show, her character, how she is. She's not an emotional person. She goes against what everybody else would say. Like, she was the villain. She was the bad person. She's the one who doesn't put up with any bullshit.
Yeah.
And not the soft-hearted person that people expect to see.
She's detached herself from that. And I think that, all right, let me say something. It's going to be unpopular. She has detached what I think what Maria's trying to say, and I'm not going to put words, I know she's in the chat. I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but I think what Maria's trying to say is that, she presents this way, but with me, she presents this way, right? People that, in my opinion, and I've seen this where it's like they want to rewrite history or want to tell a different story when something has happened, is that they detach themselves from that. And then you have this revisionist history of what has happened. If we are to just use the show to say Leida is a bad person, I'm sure the show is the show, right? They're going to capture all the crazy ass moments. I'll give you that. But even after the show, and I think for me, I might be a little biased in this because I've seen what she's like after the show. I saw how she's handled herself here on with YouTubers and the different things that she's done and what she's put out there and how she's, done people. And I am not impressed at all. I may not be a fan of the people that she's also kind of gone back and forth with, because I'm not. But I also feel like she's handled herself in a way that wasn't okay, and that she's done kind of stuff in the back scenes too. So yeah, that's how I see it. And I mean, I can admit that I'm biased. Night Charm, by the way, y'all, drop some cakes, birthday cakes, because Night Charm's birthday was yesterday. Night Charm, thank you so much for your 27-month membership. Night Charm is our OG member as well. Thank you. Well, subscriber, longtime subscriber, and then member. Thank you so much, Night Charm. Drop some happy birthday to my Night Charm. Shout out to you, Night Charm. Thank you. Link up with Danny. Hit the like button. You said I'm not helping Leida at all. I'm just stating my opinion. Maria, are you at all worried that you might be deposed or anything like that? Because if you've had like close communication with, you said that she's a friend of yours, like that could very well be the case. I mean, they could very well pull your videos. Even I wouldn't delete anything, but if they're no longer here, even if the channel's gone, that's one thing I know that YouTube knows how to do. Even if the channel's gone, they'll be able to pull some of those videos. And if they need to get it into court, they'll get them into court. Anything that's on IG, anything that has been done and recorded is very much something that they could look into. It is what it is. So I'm kind of wondering, Maria, do you feel like you might be pulled into a interview, a criminal investigation, anything? Because if you've had this conversation, you never know. You said, I'm really not worried about what I think. I have enough information. Gotcha. I got you. And you're allowed to that. Let me make sure I play this.
Yeah, but do you think that's like a fair comparison? Because one is like a show where they kind of tell them to play characters. And the other is a vulnerable situation where you just lost your 5-week-old
she's a hard ass.
Okay.
She's a hard ass. In real life too. But the thing is that she is emotional when it comes down to her emotions with the baby. So I don't know what to say.
No, I understand.
She gets very emotional.
Now, I'm going to say something very unpopular, but I think it's something to consider. Okay. This baby is 5 weeks old, right? And one of the things I like to think about is like, kind of playing the movie forward. Play the movie forward. All right. This happened. Let's play the movie forward. 5 weeks old. What is the time frame for postpartum after birth? Did she go to her wellness check after birth? Did they assess her for this? And I know you guys are going to say like, no, you're giving her an excuse. She's a bad person. No, I'm not. I'm just letting y'all know what could possibly be a defense in this. A lot of us, especially as women that have children, and we know what it's like. We know what it's like to give birth. We know how painful it is. We know what it's like. A lot of us would take a bullet for a kid. Hell, any day, take me before you take my children. Sometimes, some people have the motherly instincts and sometimes people don't. And sometimes depending on, postpartum, that could also be an issue as well, which could affect and impact behavior. I've seen that a lot in cases. So I can see that being a thing that they pull from. And then you have this situation too. There was a dog. That dog, that dog is not a small little dog, by the way, right? Like, I got to go back on those pictures. This is a pretty big dog. Pretty big dog. She picked up like charges on the dog. And what I saw a video where I saw a video of where he hold up. Let me think. Thinking back on this video that I saw. I saw a video where she was like on IG, basically putting out a narrative after she's already been charged and, with this. And she used the insanity defense for this dog, right? I saw a video where she was trying to walk that back and say, they're accusing me of a dog. Like, that's crazy. I'm like, but that did happen. But if her defense is insanity, are we expecting her to take ownership? Like, it's something to kind of keep in mind. Yeah, her dog was a big dog. That's what I heard too, Natasha, that there was something that happened. I think it was Indonesia or something like that. Oh, Belen, I'll let the chat tell you, but apparently she picked up a animal abuse, animal cruelty charge, and it was pretty huge on that one. Yeah, depositions will be had, and Maria will need to explain statements made. Leida has shown Maria what she wants Maria to see. My hands would be up if I were Maria, just saying, yeah. Maria's got, like I said, I don't think Maria's worried about that. Sounds like she's not. In the chat, if she was, she knows what she's doing. That's what it is. And I think that you're saying, I don't believe everything I hear. Okay. Let's keep going. All right.
So what's her
and we've
position?
had many conversations.
What is she saying about this?
That she is traumatized over everything that's happened, and she cries about missing the baby all the time. Every time we talk on the phone and she brings the baby up, she cries.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not a
Please
detective
continue.
or a police, so I never want to say one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Has she told you that police have told her that they're interested in talking to her, or that she's a suspect or anything like that?
No, they're not talking to her.
Mm-hmm. How does she feel about the fact that the medical examiner came back and said that the child's death was non-accidental, which means that somebody caused the child's death?
She said this report has been out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything new.
How
and
does
she was
feel
aware
about
of it. And she said that they had told her that the fracture was an older fracture. So it doesn't mean it was the night that Eric was arrested.
Well, what that tells us is that the child has been experiencing abuse over an extended period of time. So
prolonged extended period of time. And I was like, oh my God. I was in the chat and I was like, yes, Mr. Eyes, you said it. He was cooking. He was cooking right here. And he was cooking. I think I was the one who said in the chat, and then somebody super chatted. I said, oh, I see it. And maybe it's because I've seen too many of these, in the questioning and stuff like that. You kind of could tell when somebody's questioning, shout out to him. Yeah, this baby wasn't 5 months, 5 weeks old. What? Let's make a comparison. Emmanuel Haro was what we know to be 7 months old. Prolonged childhood abuse, 7 months old. You're talking about a 5-week-old baby. Prolonged? What, like after birth? What, like the 2nd week, 3rd week, 4th week? What, like, were these bruises? We don't even know if these bruises were healing. Was this baby in pain? Let me tell you another thing that happens too when a baby doesn't always cry when they're in pain. One thing that happens to our bodies when we break a bone, depending on the impact and trauma, and I know I got some nurses here in the chat, we go into shock. When my son, he was at daycare, he broke his wrist in 2 places, my oldest. Oh my God, that was the scariest thing. So the daycare calls me, he was on the monkey bars, and he broke his wrist in 2 places, 7 years old. I was going crazy because you don't want to get calls from daycare about anybody, your kids, something happening to them, right? So I went to the ER and he, you could see the x-ray, you could see the cracks, right? And he wasn't crying. He wasn't talking. He wasn't saying anything. He was just kind of sitting there and just looking at me. And I'm wondering, what's wrong with him? And I'm talking to the doctor, how come he's not saying anything? Did he hit his head? What's going on? And he was in shock. sometimes your body goes into shock because it's kind of like dealing with the pain and everything that's happening, right? So I'm thinking if I break I've never broken a bone, but if I break my arm or my hand or something, I'm in pain. Like I'm crying. That hurts. You think about it. And the way that this x-ray looked like, it was just horrible. And he's just staring at me like this blank stare. Nothing. So this is why I have to kind of wonder, when babies are in the age they cry is very different from when it's from pain. So I think it's something to kind of keep in mind, is like, you don't know. Sometimes your body goes in shock. Sometimes, and a baby's not gonna be able to tell you, right? They're not gonna be able to talk to you. So he wasn't shocked. So I'm wondering if this baby, whether it cried or didn't cry, if there was some from the pain and shock and not making noises. The brain injury was a result from prolonged downtime or trauma, or both, in my opinion. She probably I don't know, man. I don't know if it was. Anyways, let me stop.
It doesn't, to me, that's not a defense. It doesn't make it any better. Like whether the child died from abuse right at that moment, or if the evidence shows that the child was abused over an extended period of time, just makes it even more diabolical. Because one could be construed as an accident, and the other one is purposeful abuse over an extended period of time.
There you go.
So it actually benefits her or him or some stranger, whoever it may be, that caused the death of this child. It benefits them if it's a one-time thing, because then you can say, well, it was accidental, as compared to over an extended period of time.
Right. Like the baby, oops, the baby fell. But yeah, it's definitely given shaken baby syndrome. This is a thing too. What happened exactly? We don't know. Yeah, I said I can't handle any injuries to my kids or animals. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I lose my shit every time, Yeah, that's what the thing is, Maria, is that I think law enforcement or the DA's office is going to determine whether you would be a good character witness. You know what I mean? Like you're right. Like you haven't really witnessed, and that's what I'm talking about, that like parasocial situation. We don't really know each other, right? We don't. We know about each other. We know about maybe even too much about each other, but we've never really been in the same room. So I don't know how you assess a parasocial relationship to determine if you are a good character witness for a person. That's the thing that you have to kind of consider, right? There's that.
Well, what I'm getting to is somebody killed her kid, period. That's what the report says.
Find out who.
Right. So how does she feel about that? That allegedly a killer is outstanding right now. It has not faced any criminal consequences for what they did, from robbing her of her pride and joy, her 5-week-old daughter. Has she said anything about that? Does she have any theories on what might have happened?
She has her own investigator trying to find out what happened, she said.
Okay. Has anything come out of it?
That I know.
She hired a private investigator to find out what happened to her 5-week-old baby. This is kind of like a private investigator. Okay.
I have nothing yet.
Because me just jumping into this, and there's a lot that I don't know. You surely know more than me. And there's also limits to what you know from what you've explained. You're just a friend that she speaks to on the phone from time to time. And I'm just a guy who's looking in from the outside.
Yeah.
My understanding of what happened that night, and if I'm wrong from what she told you, please correct me. They had an argument, her and Eric. Mm-hmm. Eric slaps her across the face. She says she closes her eyes and she doesn't know what happens after she closes her eyes. But eventually she calls the police. Eric gets arrested and he's now sitting in jail.
Yep.
And while Eric is in jail for slapping her,
the baby dies.
That's when she calls 911 and the baby goes to the hospital, and then the baby eventually dies. Is that kind of an accurate paraphrasing of what happened?
Well, that is what she originally told me, but then from what I had read after that was that Eric wasn't there at one point because he went to a gas station and he bought beer and he got drunk and he was asleep in his car and the police arrested him on the gas station.
So, Maria, you're in the chat. So you're saying like even Leida has given you and given everybody inconsistencies in her story, right? So I think one thing, Maria, that you can at least maybe even agree, like you're not. I get that. I heard you say, "I'm not an investigator. I'm not a blog. I'm just, a friend for her, right? I'm just talking to her." Is it possible that she's also giving you different versions of a situation? Is it possible that that's what she's doing? And I know you said that not everything that's out there is true and accurate. Okay. Are you saying that because she's giving you a different version of it, right? I'm thinking that that's why you've come to that conclusion, because otherwise, why would you say that, right? That's what I'm thinking. But you let me know. It's possible, right? Like anything is possible. I get what you're saying. You're like, I think I heard you say, I'm just, we're waiting for the investigation to come out. We don't need to solve this here. We don't need to. I completely get it. I'm not at all disagreeing with you. I get what you're saying, and I also feel like it's possible that she's giving, because she has given you different versions of a story. And maybe she feels like she couldn't trust you, and now she's giving you this version. So maybe it's possible, and I appreciate that you at least own that. It's possible. You said, I feel like the investigator is a lie, LOL. Like Leida is like, don't worry, I have my own private investigator figured out. That's what I'm saying. It's like Obsidian. It's like you hire a private investigator for the death of your 5-week-old baby. This isn't the disappearance of a child, guys. This is a 5-week-old baby, right? And so to me, it's like pretty black and white, but I don't know.
So I don't know what the time. I still don't know that timeline. It was that same night that he got arrested at a gas station. So he wasn't in the apartment or the house when that happened.
So based off of her first story, it looks like Eric is not there when the police are called to get assistance for the child. And then based off of the story that you read or you heard about, Eric is spending even less time in the house. So it looks like the common denominator of who's with the child,
his mom,
is Leida.
Yeah. You said, and this is why I wouldn't be a good character witness, because I only know what being told, not that I was there. No, I hear you, Maria, but you know what? It's not for you to determine whether you would be a good character witness. You know who it is? It would be a DA, it would be law enforcement to determine. Like these would be the people that would determine based on questioning that occurs, not based on what you're saying. Like I get where people are saying you're going to be this and you're going to be that, and you could very well be deposed, and because that's typically what happens when you're near a situation and it's gotten this much attention. Like I get it, but it's not up to you to determine that. It's going to be up to the professional who feels like they're either going to bring you in or whatever they're going to do. Just based on what you're saying, I feel like you could be brought in, and I think a lot of people are telling you that too. But I guess we'll see. Rabbit, has Maria asked her who the baby was around? I think that's what we were assessing right now. But I do, outside of mom and Eric, it doesn't sound like, and the 12-year-old, right? That's the other thing too. Those were questions that I had about the 12-year-old. People were in my chat and they were saying, well, the 12-year-old won't get removed by CPS because, like, this is where I tell you guys that CPS dropped the ball. Just because the child is of age 12, right? And now I have to kind of wonder, did she at one point leave this baby with the 12-year-old? Was there ever a time where she, I don't know, left, went to go do something? And because my understanding is that the 12-year-old, they had a referral for neglect and investigation that June 28th. Now I'm kind of wondering whether she left this 12-year-old with the baby, and then the 12-year-old, maybe the baby's crying, he doesn't know what to do. And I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Not that I'm trying to accuse, but I wasn't there 24/7. So I do wonder what happened there, right? A lot of questions. How quick she was. I think it was 2 days after this baby died, how quick she was to take the 12-year-old outside of the country. Why? If the 12-year-old is nonverbal, like people have said, 12-year-old's nonverbal, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so here's my question. If The 12-year-old is nonverbal, and CPS opened an investigation on the 28th. So what was that all about? What did that look like? And also, why wasn't it thoroughly assessed for both children? Because if she's neglecting the 12-year-old, what makes you think she's not going to neglect a 5-week-old baby? All of that does not make sense. CPS dropped the ball on this one. I told you guys this needs to be brought to the attention of any of the auditors in that state, because this right here was just off the wall. How does that work? Yeah, did the 12-year-old try to pick up the baby? Did it maybe? And again, I'm not giving this woman a defense, because it could very well be, well, I'm blaming the 12-year-old. The 12-year-old did this. He's not here. It would be, and apparently, according to the folks, he's nonverbal. It would be what he says versus her. But even then, the 12-year-old wasn't getting his needs met. And just because you're 12, if you have some functioning, any disabilities, functioning issues, or anything like that, CPS needs to be involved, and they could investigate. They're not looking at the child the same way as a regular 12-year-old boy. This is not that situation. So something happened here, and people dropped the ball here. Infamous, thank you so much for the $5. Thanks for your genuine, consistent coverage. I would be lost without you. You are my number one YouTube streets. Only one can trust. Thank you so much, Infamous. And shout out to you, Infamous. I did receive your information. I'm kind of looking through stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super sticker. Hold up. Isn't it odd, right? Took her son back to the country. Why did she take her son that quickly back? Yeah, the baby was Eric, Leida, and her son. Yeah, that's right. Let me see. I'm wondering if the nonverbal was from her abusing too. Well, see, I don't know if that's the case. I do wonder what that looks like. Did she ever really raise the 12-year-old, or what was that relationship? I think the prosecutor will call Maria. They need the audio, authenticated. They do. If the defense calls Maria in defense for character, prosecutors would roast Leida on cross-examination. All in my opinion. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I know that Maria's saying here in the chat, I'm not a good character witness. Well, let me tell you this. You might feel like that's the case, but then we also have people that suddenly become witnesses, and that's not what they intended to do. You know what I mean? So that's not even for us or for you to determine. That's for the prosecutors to determine. That's for defense to determine. There's going to be a lot of people that'll determine that for sure. Thank you so much, Obsidian, for that comment. Now let me go back. Those were major admissions in that audio. Yes. Oh, yes. It could happen with autism. They can be very rough. Yes. That would still be her fault, and her for leaving the baby with the child. Yeah. I have family members with autism, and like I said, I mean, hey, it happened. These are, first of all, people make it sound like it's like the worst thing in the world. No, it's not. People with autism are wonderful people. Like, we have to be able to understand that functioning is a little bit different. We have to be a little bit more patient. And sometimes, I mean, like, I have a cousin, gifted. Okay. So everybody kind of has a little bit, ranges look a little bit different. So kind of keep that in mind. Joey, thank you so much for the $4.99. She would know of previous fractures due to swelling and bruising, etc. Right? What the hell? Well, here's my question is, so after she gave birth 5 weeks ago, this baby was a month old, right? What is isn't it, sorry, it's been a minute, clearly, it's been 4 years. What is the wellness checkup calendar for new moms, or for moms that just gave birth, for babies, right? So you go in there, isn't it like 6 weeks after you give birth? You go in there, you go to your OBGYN, and then you kind of do your physical and make sure, depending, like if you tore, or I don't know if she had a C-section, I'm not really sure, right? I don't know those details. But you tend to go to your OBGYN 6 weeks after, or less after, to the doctor, and then you take the baby to their very first pediatrician checkup. So I have to kind of wonder, about this. Joey, thank you again for the $4.99. Yes, CPS gets sued for case. I mean, they do, for dropping the ball. They get sued for cases like this. It's happened. That's why when I initially saw the report, I was like, oh shit. They need to pull those contact notes, that investigation. They need to pull all that information, because somebody dropped the ball right here when they were open on that assessment on the 28th. And I tell you guys, by experience, having worked 10+ years in this field, I know how that works, and I know how audits work. So somebody dropped the ball here. Let's see. Yeah. Question: did Leida make character statements about herself? I.e., this is the kind of person that I am. Yes. People are accusing me of crimes, or people are accusing me I didn't do. Yes, she made a lot of those online, lots of them. But I don't know if she made them with Maria. I mean, I'll let Maria speak into her. Sometimes she cries. We don't see her. Don't believe everything that you read. To me, that speaks more so along the lines of that character, right? Something that a lot of us don't know. Hence, prosecutor defense will probably pull that and figure something out with that. The baby was pronounced deceased on the 9th, so the audio is before the 9th. On the show, last night's show, you said it was after the baby was deceased. The audio, is it audio 2? The one where she's talking about the baby? That was 2 days before the baby died. We have it. We can listen to it too. The son who is autistic, when he strikes, it's quick and unexpected. Ooh, I think, anyways, hold up. Let me see. Yeah, thank you so much for putting the dates here. So you have a 3 month. I think there's a one that's earlier though, right? For the checkups, like 6 week is like your first checkup for the baby. So there's that. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Y'all are really coming down on Maria. Look, I get what you guys are saying. She's saying I'm not sticking up for her. I'm just telling you what I know. I hear it. Y'all keep it cute. I mean, it sounds like she's willing to answer questions as long as you guys are keeping it cute with her. Okay.
I mean, listen, I'm not trying to solve the case here. I'm just trying to figure this out myself as we talk, because I once again, I would never want to say that a mother did something to her child, but 5-week-old children are vulnerable and defenseless, and they literally cling to their parents, almost like, like we
absolutely
said, there's no way this child could be away from its parent. So either have mommy has to be with the child,
and she's breastfeeding, right? Like she was pumping in the car. So yeah, at 5 weeks you cannot be away from your child for very long. If she had a babysitter, because it sounds like she was working too, there's the other factor too. Who was watching the baby while she was working? Keep that in mind. I think I heard Maria, I think I heard you say that she was babysitting, or excuse me, that there was a babysitter she could work. So she was working fairly quickly after giving birth. Typically, you get how much of an FML leave or something like that? Kind of keep that in mind. Yeah, Storm, postpartum is 6 weeks. And the lady did pick up charges, so there's that. Keep that in mind. There are different levels of autism. That's right. Everybody can have different experiences. Absolutely. Yeah, like shortly after your child comes home that you take him, those first visits are to check growth and weight. That's right. And make sure that they're feeding okay. Make sure that they're like your baby's supposed to gain a couple pounds after birth. They're supposed to be feeding, whether it's breast milk or formula. And especially if she was breastfeeding, they're going to want to make sure that the baby's actually gaining weight, the baby's eating and everything. So I do have to wonder about this too.
Daddy has to be with child, or mommy and daddy's with child. And if neither one of them's there, then a trusted person would have to be there with the child. There's no way that she can say that the child was not within her presence and not be able to communicate with us who the child was with. Correct? Is that a fair statement to say?
Correct.
Is she alleging anybody else was watching that child during that time period where the husband slaps her and then he gets arrested, regardless of whether he's in the house or not? The time period of him slapping her and him going to jail and her calling the police for assistance for the child in the middle. Did she tell you that anybody else watched the child, whether it's a babysitter, a friend, a neighbor, or whatever?
This was the question. And I was like, oh, here we go.
Nobody. But my question is, I still don't know what the timeline is between Eric getting drunk, Eric slapping her, Eric leaving the house, Eric going to the gas station, drinking beer and falling asleep on the. What is that? Was it an hour, 10 hours, 40 minutes, 3 hours? I don't know that time.
All right, but all right, we'll give you that. That's a good point that you make, right? But wouldn't still
the toughest part of this question is that she is going by what Leida is telling her, right? And that's why Maria is like, I don't know that time gaps in between, right? But she is going by what Leida is telling her. And Carly, this is my question. Did the baby ever see a pediatrician, right? Because of the time frame.
Talking about a 5-week-old. We're not talking about my 7-year-old son who just came and talked to me a little while ago, who could go places by himself. He just went upstairs by himself, go sleep on a couch. He could do his own thing. We're talking about a 5-week-old. So wouldn't she be able to tell us if he was alone with that child? Wouldn't she be able to say, well, at some point, he watched the child while I went to the store, or he was alone in the room with the child as I was in the living room watching TV? Like, even if we're kind of figuring out like how long he was out the house or in the house, somebody should be able to account for who's with the child. And she's not giving us that. She's not giving us anybody else to look at. And allegedly, from what I just read, the police have said that he has nothing to do with this, that he's been ruled out. So the only person who hasn't been ruled out is the mother. And the mother's not giving us anybody else to look at. I'm just wondering, how can we not presume that she might have had something to do with this when she's the only one who could either tell us what happened with the child or who else was with the child who would know what happened to the child?
And this is very important that Mr. Eyes is putting out here. Let me tell you why. He is only approaching this. He doesn't know about all the in-betweens and everything and all this other stuff. He's literally pointing out the thing that I personally believe, and I think that maybe a lot of us, that law enforcement is going to look at, right? And again, I agree. The only person that knows the timeline is Leida. And that's exactly who's been communicating with, Maria, that timeline. And she's also, given different versions of it. Leida has, right? So I think that's something to keep in mind. But this question right here was the question that it's just like, there it is right there. Who else in that time frame could have had access to this baby? The 12-year-old, the babysitter, mom. Right now, dad is locked up, right? Unless how she had put that out there. Oh, he hit her. He hit me and my face was swollen. There's that. And like I said, we're going to play that audio here once we're done with this. We're going to play that audio of, the conversation that she had with Maria before the baby died, where she basically is already pronouncing the baby gone.
Correct.
I mean, and then if we go by what you've brought to us today, which I cannot verify it, but I will take your word for it because you know more about this case than me. You said that there's evidence, allegedly, that the child had old injuries, which in law enforcement, and like you said, you're not a detective or an investigator, so I'm going to educate you right now. In law enforcement, when we hear about old injuries on children, we automatically assume, and the DA will build a case, that this is an ongoing abuse situation. We don't think like, oh, maybe something by accident happened 2 weeks ago. We're going to assume the child is dead now because of abuse, and then there's signs of broken bones that are healing from the past. We're going to assume, and it's an assumption that has resulted in many people being convicted off of it. It's an assumption that's very hard to defend against as a defendant. We're going to assume that that person, or that child rather, is experiencing ongoing abuse. So what you just told us today is that that young little baby was experiencing ongoing abuse in that household by who we don't know. We're not saying it's the mother. We're not saying it's the father, but by somebody in that household. That's what that sounds like to me.
It sounds like way to me too. And whether it be her or Eric or anybody else, they need to find out.
I will ask you one more question. I don't know if you want to stick around and get questions from other people or not. That's on you. But if it is determined that the mother is the one who did it, how would you feel about that?
I would condemn her.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't normally do this, but I think I've been very respectful to you today and very kind. I would definitely open up my platform to speak to the mother if she'd be willing to talk. And I doubt she would. But if she's willing to talk and let us know her side of the story, we could talk about it. I'm a professional. I'm fair. I will ask her tough questions. I'm not going to lie about this. It's not going to be a fluff piece. But it is an opportunity for her to be heard, because a lot of this story is going to get huge. And a lot of people are talking about it, and they all have their own theories. And if she's innocent and she has nothing to hide, then she should not be afraid of clearing her name, because the only person who can solve this case is her at the end of the day. We'll see about it. Is there anything you want to do? You want to plug your show? You want to tell people how to find you?
I mean, I've been crying nights, days, I mean, I accepted, like completely like accepted because I knew that I lost her.
Sorry about that. Rookie mistake. Sorry about that. This is what I was trying to say. Lord have mercy. Sorry. All right. So, I was shouting out Mr. Eyes and Maria, shout out to them. And then I moved over here. Shout out to E11 for allowing me to use this audio. So I was reading what it said on the audio. So according to this, it says audio is from Sunday, July 6th, while baby is in the ICU, though there are discrepancies in timeline of life support. Brain dead, perhaps, actual death, which I have also seen as July 9th. And actually, the CPS report does say July 9th. So baby was admitted July 5th. Okay. July 9th is when we believe this baby died based on the CPS report. Okay, let's get into this.
I mean, I've been crying nights, days, I mean, I accepted, like completely like accepted because I knew that I lost her. But as soon as the doctor says like there were a fracture on her back, and that's why I suspect, all of us suspect that that's kind of like related to what Eric did to me. Because when he hits me, even right now, like I still unable to feel my left face. And then, exactly like there's a nerve damage that the doctor said to me when I got myself checked, and that's that. So imagine if it's, because I didn't see if he hits Alyssa or not, but imagine if he did. It's really like, it's kind of like related, but I'm not accusing. I'm just saying what happened. And that's that. I know. But before we find out if he is the cause, I will file a restraining order against him because guess what? I want to get myself protected. I want to get my son and I protected. This is a contingency. This is serious. This is, even my dad says like, I don't want you to get killed, Leida. Go fucking home now. And I was like, I can't, Dad. I still have court to do. I still have a lot of things to do. So that's that. That's where we are right now, Maria. I mean, I know that she's 2005, but at that time, before I spoke to my dad, I still not accepting it. But after I talked to my dad and I no longer resent my dad and we basically reconcile, I feel good. And then I accept it, but now my grief, I'm done grieving. I'm done grieving. My focus is on justice. That's it. Because I want to know, I never dropped the baby. And the baby was so fine. I could see her still moving legs before I found her like, unresponsive. And I had to call 911 and everything like that. Once they mentioned about the fractures on the back, that's the reason why we suspect something happened when Eric hit me in the face. Because if it's make my left face numb and then damage my facial nerve, what do you think is gonna happen to damage my baby? Of course, something's gonna happen too. If it's happened, if he did hit that accidentally or something like that, I didn't know. I didn't see because my eyes was closed. So this is why I request immediate autopsy. Immediate, because it will help the police anyway. I want to know because I don't want to live, blaming myself forever. No, this is not my fault. Never be my fault. So.
Again, the baby hadn't passed away yet. Okay. She's just, if you listen to how she speaks, I think it's very telling. Okay.
Yeah, Maria. I mean, we can go live. I mean, I can jump on your YouTube. Tomorrow, I don't know if it's 10:30 your time, is 9:30 my time. Is gonna be if I even available, because at 8 Central Time, my time, which is 9 your time, your Eastern, right, EST. I will have to be at the court. I have to file a restraining order first. That's my plan at 8. And 8:30, I will have my psychiatrist, my appointment with my psychiatrist, like for half an hour. So that's that. I'm kind of like occupied, but we will try to find way or time tomorrow, because the hospital provide me hotel until I check out on basically Wednesday. But I want to get everything done at my county. It's like an hour and a half drive. Jesus Christ. Tomorrow before I come back here, because it's a lot of driving, so that's that. But let me know if you can do it afternoon or something like that. We can try to work on it, or be like during evening time when we are free, or when I don't know about your schedule, but when I'm free, basically during the evening time. Yeah. So yeah.
Here's the question that I have though, Maria. Like, I know that you were pretty upset that these were leaked, and she was upset too, but why did you record these calls? Kind of curious about that. Like, did you just like, I'm just going to record them and then hand them out to people? Like, nobody would have known anything. And I mean, like I said, these calls don't make her good. She's not seen in a good light, honestly. But I do have to kind of wonder. I mean, you did record them. Here is the dog. This was the husky was just a puppy, guys. This is the dog. Yeah, I mean, it's just a little puppy, but I'm saying this is not like a small dog, So whatever happened between her and the dog kind of makes you wonder. I just have to wonder. And again, it's up for Maria to decide whether she's gonna answer that. I do have to kind of wonder. I mean, they are recorded calls. I typically don't record my calls, so I'm just kind of curious to know. Oh, they were IG voice notes. Okay. Okay, so that's a little bit different because she actually has them there, so she could just kind of. I thought it was a call. I could be wrong though. I don't know if Maria left. She might not be in the chat anymore. Okay, here you are. Because I didn't know there was a baby at the first place. I wasn't sure who hurt the baby. If it was, I wasn't sure because I didn't know there was a baby in the first place, and I wasn't sure who hurt the baby. If it was true, but it was meant for the police only. So, there were IG notes. Okay, thank you. Because I was like, is this a recorded call or it's a little bit different, right? A recorded call is different than an IG note. See, and that even matters too, right? Because they could say, well, you recorded calls illegally, but no, you're saying it's an IG note, and that's a little bit different. That records it automatically for you. It's not an intent for you to record. I get it. And she didn't know. And so then you say these were meant for the police, but these were put out here. I get it. So clearly, Shelly, IG, if you have Instagram, it allows you to voice record yourself, and then it leaves a voice note for the person. And then IG saves those voice notes. They look like recording, kind of like a voice clip. Yeah, that's what it is. So there's that. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go. I have so much. I'm not done. Like with the latest situation, I'm gonna go. Basically, I know that a lot of you guys, you OG people that have been reviewing this for a long time, you guys have a lot of information, and I really do appreciate you guys sending me that information. But I have my audience here that does not know this case the way you guys know. So I'm literally starting from the very bottom, and that's how I'm going to treat this. I'm going to start this from the very bottom and then kind of build off, because that'll help people kind of have a starting point, right? So thank you guys, those that have shared information with me, the OG people. I really appreciate it. Now, I know some of y'all do not get along and don't care for each other. I'm not here to, mediate that. That's on your business and stuff like that. But y'all keep it cute in my chat. And you guys have channels over there, so take all that over there. My rules, okay? So I will see you guys on the next one, but I am going to follow up because I got more information on my inbox that I want to review. That's what I'm going to do, okay? Shout out to everybody. Thank you guys for stopping by. Shout out to everybody that supported today. My goodness. Thank you. Shout out and happy birthday to my wonderful, beautiful night charm as well. You said what shocks me is when Leida said in the phone call that she stopped grieving for her baby. And I'm like, what? Yeah, after she talked to her dad. There's a lot to this for sure. For sure. I think that people could, I think that people could, but Brooke, you're gonna have to self-reflect that on. I mean, I see y'all got some animosity with each other. You got to put that away. If you truly want justice for this baby, you got to figure out where you're going to put that. I'm sorry. I know you guys feel very passionate about that. You got to figure it out. There's some people that I'll never talk to that are in this community, and they know who they are because they're like permanently blocked from my channel, and they're not allowed to be mentioned on my channel. And that's fine. That's my choice. So, that's how I feel, and I stand on that. But yeah, we gotta figure it out. If y'all want justice for this baby, you gotta put all that differences aside. You do, at least while this is happening. Okay, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one, and y'all have a good one. Bye. Yes, happy birthday to you on the 19th. You better stop by so we can say happy birthday to you. All right, bye, guys.